making sure my mic's on. Welcome back to Cherished ASMR, where you are always loved and cherished. I'm Cherish, and today's video is going to be a whispered cruise planning informational video. I'm super excited about this. Somebody requested it. I cannot remember, but I will try to tag them in the description box below. But when I saw that request, and I love cruising, I love planning vacations, I thought that would be a great way to have a relaxing video, but also informational if somebody needs the information. So, kind of a whisper ramble with a point. That being said, during the course of this video, I'm going to treat it as if you know basically nothing about cruising. So I'm kind of starting from the very, very, very basics. This may be a long video. I've taken notes, so I'm going to be referring to those quite a lot so that I hopefully don't miss anything. But before we get started, if you wouldn't mind to please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, I'd be so grateful. And if you have another second to like the video by giving it a thumbs up, I would appreciate it a ton. Please give it a thumbs up. Not a thumbs down, but a thumbs up. Thank you so much. And then also we have a question of the day today. If you wouldn't mind to please answer that in the comments. Sorry, I'm looking off at my dog. She's in the living room with me right now. So if you hear some background noises, it's probably her. Anyways, today's question of the day is, after this video, actually no, just right now, the question of the day, if you'd like to leave your answer in the comment, is what is something you would like to know about planning a cruise, on the cruise, after the cruise? Do you have any questions about cruising? Also, I kind of want to give a shout out to, I do want to give a shout out to a channel that I watch a lot whenever we are planning cruises, and that is Cruise Tips TV. It is not an ASMR channel. It is a channel fully dedicated to cruising, and you can find everything you need to know and more about cruising over there. So I like watching their videos whenever I can. They've been on far more cruises than I have. My husband and I have been on 4 cruises total. Over the course of 10 years of marriage, we've been on 4 cruises. We have been on 1 since we had our son, so only 1 with a child. So I will give some tips about cruising with children in this. But this is probably going to be a long video, so let's go ahead and get started. I am going to try to go in chronological order of booking the cruise, on the cruise, and that kind of sort of thing. So the early steps, the ones I'll be talking about first, are most likely the most obvious steps. However, there are some people who haven't cruised and know nothing about it, so maybe this will help you. So the first thing I wrote down that is important is choosing your cruise line. So there are so many different cruise lines, and there are so many different factors that go into choosing the cruise line you'd like to sell. I'd say one of the number 1 factors is whether or not you have previously sailed on a cruise. If you have, you probably know that there are loyalty programs with a cruise line, I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to do, but once you've chosen a cruise line, it's kind of nice to stick with them because you get those loyalty rewards. My husband and I have been on 2 different cruise lines. We, 3 of our cruises have been on Carnival, so we have our loyalty rewards through them, of course. We enjoy Carnival. We have also been on 1 Princess cruise with his family. We actually went on a Princess cruise to Alaska a few years ago. It was prior to the pandemic, and it was fantastic. So, anyways, those 2 cruise lines are both wonderful. They have totally different vibes. So that was the next kind of thing I wrote down that you will want whenever you're choosing a cruise line is kind of the overall vibe. So, for example, Carnival is known as the fun ship, the fun cruise line. So it's very like party all day, party all night. Not necessarily like you don't have to drink or anything. You can, and there is a lot of that happening on board. But it tends to be, I mean, there are people of all ages on there, but I would say Carnival tends to be more younger people and families. They have a lot of activities for children, which was a huge sell for us this last time. Yeah, so that's that vibe. And then like Princess, it was wonderful, and if we ever did another Alaskan cruise, I think I would want to go on Princess again, because Alaska is kind of like those chill vibes, you know, and Princess Cruise Line is more chill vibes. It was definitely like the average age of the guests was much older than Carnival, but it was just chill and laid back. So you kind of want to look into the vibe of it, ask people who've been on those cruise lines what they think, kind of, you know, if you're more of a chill person, you're going to probably not want to go on Carnival because it's going to be loud in most areas, right? Excuse me, I've been sick, so. And then also you will want to look at the duration of the cruises. So we've been on the 1 10-day Alaskan cruise, and our other 3 cruises have been 7-day. We feel like anything less than 7 days for us is just too short because we love cruising so much. For you, that might be much too long to be away from home. And if you're celebrating like an anniversary or something and leaving your children at home, you might not want to be gone for 7 days, and that's okay. So you're going to want to look at the offerings of the cruise line's durations. Most cruise lines, I don't know if all, but most of them have several different offerings, but I would say just double check that before you choose. And then the next one, which is arguably the most important factor in choosing a cruise line, is the price of the cruise and your budget, right? So we have to choose a cruise line and a particular sailing that fits into your vacation budget, obviously, right? So we typically do Carnival. It's less expensive. Yeah, so we like that line. There are other lines. There's like Princess, which was a little more expensive, but again, it was like a chiller vibe. We were waited on a whole lot more. I didn't feel like it was as crowded. So there's that. And then there are other lines like Norwegian Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean. I believe Virgin now has a cruise line, like Virgin Airlines. I think they have a cruise line now. I think it's adult only though. Anyways, all kinds of those. So you just kind of have to look at the price of the cruises and the budget. Oh, Disney also has a cruise line. Those are kind of expensive, but that's kind of like a goals thing for us someday, right? So that leads me into the second thing when planning a cruise. So I usually will cruises. However, like I said, we have our Carnival loyalty rewards. So it's kind of like at this point that we've been on 3 sailings, like 3 7-day sailings with them. Do we want to switch over, or do we want to stay loyal and get those points for our rewards? But anyways, what I will do whenever we have decided to book a cruise, or if I'm bored one day and I'm just dreaming of being on a vacation, I will do mock-up bookings. So I'll go to the different websites, like the Disney Cruise Line website, or Carnival Cruise Line website, or Princess Cruise Line website. Whatever it is, you can Google it and find the website. I will go to those websites, and then you just click on plan a cruise. Usually that's exactly what it says, is plan a cruise or book a cruise or something like that. Click it. You're not locking yourself into anything. It's not going to charge you until you pay, so you're okay. The first time I did this back in 2013 for our honeymoon, I was very nervous that it was going to charge us before I clicked. Anyways, when I was doing the mock-up, so don't be worried about that. It's nearly impossible to accidentally pay for a cruise doing a mock-up booking. You might want to tell your husband something different. You might be like, oops, I accidentally booked a cruise. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. That's not nice. Okay. So you just go through the steps. Once you do that, you just go through the steps like you're booking a cruise, okay? Just pretend like you're actually booking a cruise. Go through all those steps. And usually the steps that they're going to have on there are like you choose your type of room. So the different types of room on a ship, typically you will have your interior rooms. Interior rooms have no windows. They're exactly what they sound like, interior. No windows, just kind of inside. And then you'll have your ocean view windows that don't have a balcony, or ocean view cabins are what the rooms are called. You'll have your ocean view cabins. They'll usually have like a window, like a portal, and that's what that room is. And then you'll have balcony rooms. My husband and I, 3 of the 4 times we've cruised, we've gotten balcony rooms. One time we got an interior. While if we have to make a sacrifice and do interior, we will. I feel like for us, it's worth it to sacrifice in other areas to get the balcony, because we do spend a fair amount of time in our cabins and on the balcony when it's not too hot. Also, I get a little seasick, so it's nice to be able to step out on the balcony in the wind if I need to calm my tummy. And then there are usually suites in each of those categories. So, and each ship is a little different, but those are like your basic 3. And then you have the suites. And so you have like balcony suites, extended balcony rooms, obstructed balcony rooms. Again, each cruise line, each ship is different in what they offer in cabins, but those are like the main ones. And you're going to choose, when you're doing that, you're going to choose your, the number of days of your cruise, where the cruise is going, all of those things. So I'm going to try to walk you through it really fast, the best I can. So let's say we're going to do a mock-up booking on Carnival. So you would go to the Carnival website, click plan a cruise, and then what I usually do is there are filters as well, and so you can filter to find certain cruises. So what I will usually filter is I will filter the port where we will embark on the ship. Your departure port. I couldn't think of the word. The departure port. I will usually, because there are like specific ones we like to go out of. So I will usually filter by departure port, number of days. And those are usually the only 2 that I filter by. microphone is still charged because I did a little oopsie earlier where I accidentally got nearly finished with a video, only to realize that my tiny mic was dead. Yeah, so I filter by that. Once I filter those and I click search, it will bring up the cruises that match that filter. And then I can kind of like cipher through them. I can say, okay, this one's going to the Caribbean or whatever. And I'll say, okay, this is a 7-day Caribbean cruise. Click on whichever one sounds the best to you, meets your dates and all that. So you'll click on that, and then you click on which date, which sailing you would want, and then you click on, you would choose your room type, and if you're booking far enough in advance, you can usually choose your room location. Now again, that's when you're booking far enough in advance. And then you would just go ahead and like click book the cruise, and it takes you to the checkout page. What I always do when I get there is I go ahead and click add vacation protection. Excuse me, vacation protection for each guest. That is a personal choice. I always add vacation protection. I know it's kind of a sucker bet, but I would rather have the peace of mind knowing that I can get back, 100% of what we've paid if something comes up, because things do happen. In fact, a few years ago, we had a Disney World vacation booked, just my husband and I. It was before we had our son, and we had to cancel it, and we got back every bit of our money, other than like maybe a deposit. So worth it to me to add vacation protection. And then I always choose prepay gratuities as well. You have the choice to either prepay the gratuities or have it added on to your onboard account when you're on the ship. I always prepay. Now the gratuities, I should have researched into this a little more before I started. Again, each cruise line is different. Most cruise lines have gratuities, and I believe the gratuities go to your room stewards, your waiters at the dining room, and maybe bartenders. I don't know if they go to bartenders, but they kind of split the tips among all of them. So anyways, I always choose to prepay them because it's just easier to have it added in, so I see this full cost, right? You can wait until you're on the ship, but I prefer to prepay them. And so then once I have all of that on there, I can see the cost of the cruise, like no hidden fees or anything, like I see the cost of the cruise with the night, like the cost of the cruise plus vacation protection plus prepaid gratuities plus the port taxes and fees, and I can see the full cost. And I just like that for my planner brain. It's nice to see that, to know, like, is this within our vacation budget or is it not, right? Something, I'm not like a spokesperson for Carnival or anything, obviously, but something that we learned about Carnival and loved this last time is, of course, my husband and I paid like full price, whatever the price was. They oftentimes do deals and stuff, so anyways, we paid full price, but then our son was only like, I want to say his was like under $200 total, because your third and fourth guests on Carnival are much, much cheaper than the first two, so that's pretty cool. Also, just kind of as a preemptive thing, so what I just told you, doing a mock bookup, that's next step of checking out and paying for that cruise. If you book far enough in advance, you can do a deposit the day you book usually, and then make payments. We typically will pay all at once, but we have done the payment plan on at least one of our cruises. Okay. Also, I wrote this down later, but I want to go ahead and shout it out now. I would recommend using a travel agent. I'm going to go ahead and talk about that now. So I would recommend using a travel agent. Travel agents cost you nothing. They cost you $0. $0. They cost you $0. You could choose your own travel agent if you are like super. Can you guys hear my dog snoring? She's snoring so loud. Anyways, you could like be loyal to your travel agent if you wanted, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or there are most cruise lines have their own travel agents as well. So like Carnival, they call them personal vacation planners, and we've used them. The same one once, or the first time I didn't know about them and I booked myself. The second time I used the Carnival's personal vacation planner. Whenever we went on our Alaskan cruise with my husband's family, they used a travel agent, like a private travel agent, to book that. And then this last time, I kicked myself because I didn't use a travel agent, and I called him to see if I could like credit it to him after, and we couldn't do that. So, anyways, I'm a planner, so I enjoy planning trips. But some of the perks to using a travel agent are, like I said, they're free. How that works is basically travel agent fees, like their commission is already built in to the cost of travel, whether that be to Disney World or a cruise or whatever. What you're paying, like, to the parks or the cruise lines or whoever, the airlines, their travel agent commissions are already built into that fee. So, like, why not use them if we're paying them? You know what I mean? They're free to us. So I wrote, they do the work while you have the fun. So especially if I am a planner and I like planning and I have fun planning. But if you are not a planner and you don't have fun planning, it's nice to have a travel agent do all that work for you. And then the last reason I wrote is because they can get you the best prices, right? So like if you go ahead and book now and then there's a lower price for that exact sailing later, they can come back and like lower your price and tell you like, hey, I noticed that your sailing has this really great deal going on. We can get you that price instead. So that is definitely a perk. They also know like all the hacks, at least like all the cruise line hacks. They're gonna know all of that. I believe that they'll book your reservations for you. Like if you want reservations to one of the specialty dining restaurants, which we'll talk about in a moment, Onboard or any of that stuff, they'll do those kinds of things for you. And they're going to get you the best price. Like, they're going to get you the best price because I don't think it really matters to them how much we pay. You know what I mean? So, I would recommend using a travel agent or travel planner. Now, let's talk about what the cost of the cruise covers. I personally love cruising just because, number one, it's like disconnecting from reality. I know most vacations are, but most of the time, like, you still have your phone on you and all this, and you can do that on a cruise. But I prefer not to. I prefer to just be completely disconnected from reality. And on a cruise, you get that, like, you're in the middle of the ocean, you know? was on an enclosed ship than I would have been had we been like at a beach or something like for 7 days straight, right? Yeah. Now, one of the big reasons I love cruising is that the cost, it's manageable. It covers so much. Like, you could absolutely go on a cruise and not spend a dime once you're on the ship. That's probably not going to happen, but you could. And I feel like the cost of cruises is lower than like going somewhere and staying in a hotel or an Airbnb for 7 nights, plus having to pay for all of your meals, plus having to pay for all of your drinks, plus having to pay for all of your recreation, right? Like, you could easily spend what you spend on a cruise on land. So, for me, it's like more cost effective. So here is what the cost of cruising covers. Now keep in mind, I'm trying to do an exhaustive list, but there is a huge possibility I've forgotten some things. So it covers, obviously, number one thing, your lodging. So once you have paid for your cruise, that means you have paid for your cabin on the ship for the duration of your cruise, right? They're not like luxury, like the cabins are not luxury accommodations. They're not teensy tiny, but they're not huge. They're nice enough. So it covers your lodging. It also covers most of your food. So if you are just going to go, we'll talk about food in a little bit, but if you are just going to go use the main dining room and the buffet and the free food provided, which you absolutely can do and be happy and be satisfied, that's usually what we do. Your food is covered in that cost that you pay initially. So whenever you go to the dining room, you are not having to pay extra. When you go to the buffet, you are not having to pay extra. Like, you never have to be hungry on a ship, and you never have to pay for your food. There are specialty restaurants on the ships that you can pay for if you want, like steakhouses, or some of them have sushi restaurants, coffee shops, that kind of thing. And again, we'll talk more about that in a moment. But you do not have to use any of those. So it's pretty exciting, and it covers, oh, I'm so sorry, I hope you didn't hear that. It also covers your drinks, such as water, tea, and juice, lemonade. You can have all the tea, all the lemonade, all the juice you want, and that is covered in the cost. Now, if you want like pop soda, or alcoholic beverages, you're gonna have to pay a little extra. I'll tell you some hacks for that in a moment. But anyways, so far we've talked about how the cost of the cruise covers lodging, food, just plain drinks, and then it also covers your entertainment. So, your entertainment, again, we'll talk about that here in a moment. I believe I have it on my list. But you can be entertained, fed, and rested, all within the cost of the cruise that you pay up front. To me, that's worth it, because I feel like if I'm doing a land earthquake happening. I don't think so. That's interesting. I'm sorry if I'm shaking. It's kind of fitting. It's like I'm on a ship. Just kidding. Okay. So, the additional, hidden costs, if you will, would be soda, bottled water. So, there is like most cruise lines have a number of cans of soda or bottles of water that you can bring. You just have to look at each cruise line's rules, and you can bring it with you if you want. We personally never do that. I don't want to be lugging around a huge case of water or cans of pop. That's just not my jam. So we don't do that, but you could. Or if you want to budget this in, so for example, on the Carnival Cruise Line, there's the Bubbles program, and that is you prepay a certain amount per day. I don't know what it is. Let's say it's $5 per day. It's definitely more than that, I'm sure, but let's just say it's $5 per day per person. That would be all you prepay it before you go on the cruise, or you can purchase that package once you're on the cruise. Usually it's cheaper to do it prior to getting on board, though. Then you could get all you can drink, pops, that kind of thing. And bottled water. Bottled water is a big deal for us. Since we have our son, the last time we went on a cruise, not the last time, but the time before, it wasn't a big deal because we would just drink the water out of the fountain. The water was fine. But our son, for his water, I just like for him to have bottled water. I don't know. Bottled or purified. So the next thing that could be a hidden cost are other drinks like alcoholic beverages or specialty drinks. So my husband and I don't drink a whole lot, but we do have a drink occasionally, and especially on vacation. So for us, it was worth it to do the it's on Carnival, it's called the Cheers package, and that's basically the same concept as your soda, just obviously more expensive. And you get up to 15 alcoholic beverages per day. But it was worth it for us because we could get our alcoholic beverages, but also we could get our specialty drinks at the coffee shop. There was a coffee shop on board, so we could get, fun coffees and bottled water. You can get all the bottled water you want on that. So it was worth it for us to do that. Now, I would recommend you figure up beforehand, how many specialty drinks or alcoholic beverages you're going to drink in a day and decide if it's worth it for you. Because if you're just going to have 1 or 2 alcoholic beverages a day, no specialty drinks. All the specialty drinks included chocolate shakes too. But anyways, if you're not going to do those specialty drinks, and you're only going to have 1 or 2 alcoholic beverages a day, probably, and no bottled water, probably not worth it for you, right? Oh, and that's also, you also get, with the Cheers package, you also get, obviously, unlimited soda and stuff, too. Another fee could be, specialty dining, like we talked about, steakhouses or sushi, or, the first cruise we went on Carnival Cruises, they have Red Frog Pub, and the first cruise we ever went on, they had something called Pigeon Peas in there, and we loved them, and they were a little bit of a charge. Keep in mind, though, even when you buy food on board, it's still cheaper than it would be on land, typically. So your specialty restaurants, room service. Now, I want to say on Princess, maybe room service was free. And the first time we sailed with Carnival, room service was free as well. Because I remember we were on our honeymoon That's something I like about the cruise, is that if something has a cost, it is very evident what the cost is. Like, they don't try to hide the cost from you. I didn't feel like. And then, like we talked about, your cost covers entertainment, which we'll talk about, but there is specialty entertainment that costs. So, for example, on Carnival, they have like Build-A-Bear events for the kids, where the kids get to bring home a Build-A-Bear. Obviously, that's an extra fee. There is an IMAX theater on some of them, and those cost. I'm trying to remember what other forms of entertainment. Oh, there's like the spa, where you could get like massages and things, and there's obviously an extra cost for that. Just, things like that, just specialty entertainment that you certainly do not have to have, but if you want it, it's going to cost you a bit. I will say the spa on board is expensive. I did not get a massage this time. The first time we cruised on our honeymoon, I got a massage on board, and it was outrageously expensive, but it was wonderful because, like, the spa is up high, and I was in a room with, like, windows going out to the ocean. I don't know, it was nice, but they do try to sell you a ton of stuff after the massage, and I was just like, I want to go back to the room and go to sleep. Anyways. An extra fee for gambling, obviously. They do have casinos on board, and that's going to cost you. Some of the ships have arcades, like for children, which we learned this last time is not cheap, and our son loved it, of course. But yeah, they'll have like arcades. Those cost you a little bit for the games. And then most ships have shops. So they'll have like jewelry shops. Sometimes they have like candy shops, ice cream shops, get like gift shops, like souvenir shops. Some of them even have like a little convenience store type thing on board. So that'll obviously cost you if you want to shop in there. And things do tend to be expensive. Although I believe the things you get on board are duty free. Okay, so those are the only things I could think of that cost extra on board that you might want to include in your budget. So, once you've booked your cruise, so let's say that now you've booked your cruise and you're ready to go, the next thing you're going to want to do is, if you want to do excursions, you're going to want to book those excursions. So, with booking excursions, first, let me tell you what excursions are. So, excursions are just the activities that you do off of the ship. So, when you're in port, so like our 7-day cruises, they typically have three ports, and the excursions are just activities that you do when you're there. So, for example, our last cruise, the excursions we did, one place we swam with dolphins, one place we went and looked at sloths, macaws, and monkeys, and then another place we had a river boat ride booked. We didn't go, but we had it booked. Anyways, so that's what excursions are. And then I wrote down some questions I thought people might have. Like, how many excursions should you book? And that is completely a personal preference. I personally would not schedule more than one excursion per location. Number one, just for the cost of it. Number two, for the time, because I'd rather like walk around in the port and explore the shops and things. I enjoy that. Like at the docks. But you could, and you don't. The next question I wrote was, do you have to have an excursion? You don't have to book any excursions. You could book one for each port if you wanted. You could book one for one port and not for the other two. You don't have the most expensive thing we did on our last cruise was swimming with dolphins. And I want to say, gosh, we spent a few $100s on that, like probably 300 and something. But that was a once in a lifetime thing. And we felt like it was worth it because we kind of skimped on the cost of our other excursions in order to be able to do that. But yeah, you can do the expensive ones, you can do the cheap ones. The excursions could literally vary from like those cool things I just told you, like those very tropical things, to going to a museum in the port, or it could be something very adventurous. They have like ATV rides at some of them. Here, I'll just tell you some of the excursions that we've done over the years. So on our honeymoon, in Jamaica, I'll talk about this in a moment, but we didn't book an excursion through the cruise line. So we just got like a tour bus in the port, and we went to like a local beach and a local jerk pit. That was kind of cool. And then we went to the Grand Cayman Islands, and my husband and I we swam with stingrays. And then, we also went to Cozumel, and we got like a full day at an all-inclusive private beach. So it's a private beach, so like they limit the number of people who can go. And they have several of these, like every cruise line will have one you can go to. Yeah, and pretty much every location, if you're going to a tropical place, will have that. So we did that. And we had, it was all inclusive. So there was like all you can eat food, all you can eat margaritas, the swimming, all of it. And then when we went on a cruise in 2018, we actually went with my cousin and his wife. It was so fun. We all had so much fun. They're our age, or close to our age, so it was like a fun. He's my cousin, but they're also our friends. So we did this as like a little group trip. So that time we went to Key West, Florida. So when we were in Key West, what time is it? Okay. When we were in Key West, we rented a golf cart and drove around. We ended up going to Hemingway's house, and then we went to like some cool little restaurant bar type thing. And then where else did we go? We went somewhere in the Bahamas. And one of the places, we did one of the all-inclusive beaches again. And then in the third place, we didn't get an excursion. My husband and my cousin and his wife, they all got off the ship that day. And they just kind of walked around. But I decided to stay on the ship and enjoy the ship when there were fewer people on board. Yeah. And then when we went to Alaska, I can't remember if we only had 3 or 4 stops. One place we went whale watching, and another place, again, my husband and all of them, they went on an excursion. I was invited, but I chose not to go on it. I don't like heights. And they went on like a train that goes up high. A train that like goes up very high through mountains and stuff, so I didn't want to do it. But they did that, and they said it was really cool. And then I'm trying to remember. Another place we did like a bus tour of the city. Anyways, and then this time I told you what we did. So again, it varies what you can do. So much. And then the last question I thought you guys might have is, do I have to get off the ship if I don't want to? The answer is no. You can absolutely get off the ship if you want to. You don't have to. In fact, sometimes, well, there was only that one time, but I really enjoyed staying on the ship that time. because I had like the swimming pool to myself, which never happens. It was also in November, which might have had something to do with that. But because everybody was off the ship, or not everybody, but many people were off the ship, there weren't long lines. Like, it was nice. Honestly, for me, the fun of cruising is the time on the ship. For some people, they may not get off the ship at all. Anyways, so let's talk about how you book your excursions. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of the time. I need to go pick up my son here in a little bit. This video is very long. Hopefully it's relaxing for those of you who don't care, and hopefully for those of you who do care, it's informational and you can watch it in pieces if you need to. So your two options for booking excursions are to book through the cruise line or book in the port. So I'm going to tell you guys some pros and cons to booking through the cruise line and booking in port. I will say, before my husband and I had a child, we oftentimes, most times, would book one excursion through the cruise line, and the other two we would do just once we got into port. Since having a child, like this last time, we booked all three excursions through the cruise line. It just seemed safer, like the safer option. So here are the pros to booking through the cruise line. So booking through the cruise line, the probably biggest pro is the timing. So if you book through the cruise line your excursion, then if something happens and your excursion runs late, say like you're on an excursion on a tour bus and the tour bus breaks down, it's like a nightmare, right? But it happens. So say that happens, the cruise line, the cruise ship, they will either have to wait for you or fly you home. Like, they're responsible for that. Most of the time they're going to wait for you because they're not going to want to fly home several people, right? So they have to wait for you if it is the excursion's fault that you're late, and the excursion will stay in communication with the cruise line about that. And if for some reason, and this happens all the time, if for some reason a cruise gets rerouted, like say you were scheduled to go to, I don't know, Belize, and there was a hurricane, and so you had to reroute, so you didn't get to go to Belize, but you had an excursion booked in Belize. If you booked through the cruise line will reimburse you for that by either reimbursing your money or giving you onboard credit, or like so that you could get an excursion in the new place, right? So that's a huge pro. To me, not getting left behind is important. And if you, and then also, I just, like I mentioned a while ago, I just think it's the safest option. While most, if not all, of the excursion companies that are allowed within the like cruise line ports, they're mostly safe, if not all safe, because they're allowed in there, but still they're not through the cruise lines, and that just is a little bit scary. So I would say booking through this cruise line is your safer option in many ways. And then another pro of booking on the ship is, or like on the cruise line, whether you do it prior to the cruise, that is a pro that I didn't write down, is that if you're booking your excursion through the cruise line, you can do it prior to getting on. You can do it online. Now, if you're going to book in port, obviously you're going to have to wait until you get there. But anyways, if you book through the cruise line, you can get assistance on the ship. They have an entire desk and dedicated staff to helping with excursions, shore excursions. So yeah, that's nice. Some cons to booking on the ship. I have two cons, and the first one is that it's again, you're paying for the safety, you're paying for the assistance, you're paying for like that option of reimbursement, I feel like. And for me, now with a child, that's worth it. Before having a kid, it wasn't a big deal. It was like, we have passports, like we'll figure it out. But with a kid, no thank you. And then also some of the cruise line excursions tend to be really crowded. Not necessarily always, but I would say in general, cruise line excursions, have more people on them because they also wanted to pay for safety. And then if we're booking in port, the pros to booking in port are basically the opposite of booking through the ship or through the cruise line. The biggest pro for me was whenever we were booking them in the past was it was cheaper. It was a lot less expensive. Like I said, we typically would, before we had a child, we would book one through the cruise line, and then the other two we would just wait until we got there. It was typically cheaper doing that before. I don't know about now, but I would assume it's probably still the same. When you book in port, trying to make sure I didn't just accidentally turn off my microphone. I'm going to reapply some lip gloss. My lips are kind of dry. Another pro to booking in port is that it is less crowded. So there tend to be fewer people. This video is already at like almost 55 minutes, y'all. I hope this helps somebody. I hope this helps somebody sleep and somebody else in booking a cruise. They're less crowded. Like I said earlier, whenever we did the one in Jamaica, it wasn't as crowded, the places they took us, because the other places were going to all the touristy places. And this leads me into the third pro of booking in port, is that they're more likely to take you to local places. So again, I always go back to that time in Jamaica. They took us to a local beach that was not crowded. There was like nobody there. They took us to a local jerk pork pit, which was so good. And so if that's important to you to like get to go to hole in the wall local places, then booking in port might be your best option. Now the cons of booking in port are again the opposites of booking through the cruise line. The timing. If your ship if you're on an excursion, let's go back to that same example as earlier. You're on an excursion on a tour bus that you booked in port. The tour bus breaks down. They've got to figure it out. You're running late to get back on the ship. The ship will leave you. They will not wait for you because you didn't book through their excursions. So it's not their fault because they offered you that option. So in my experience, I will say that typically the port excursions have absolutely done everything in their power to get us back on time, because obviously they want us to tell our friends about them, and they want more people to come. But accidents happen, emergencies happen, and can't be helped. So there's always that possibility. And then also just the safety aspect of it. Again, I feel like the booking in port is a little less safe option. Not as safe. I'm gonna kind of try to like book you through these next ones because this video is so long, and I need to go pick up my son here in a little over an hour. I was hoping to film one more video. Excuse me. So another tip is to book any of the special things that you want things fill up quickly on the ship. So, go ahead and if you're going to book your excursions through the cruise line, do it early because sometimes they do fill up. So book your excursions early. Go ahead and book your drink packages before the cruise. If you want your kid to do Build-A-Bear, go ahead and book it early. On Carnival, there's a Dr. Seuss breakfast. We wanted to take our son to that, but I waited too late to book it. Like, it filled up really fast. So, or if you want like specialty dining reservations at one of the specialty restaurants, go ahead and book that in advance. I will say typically spa reservations are not hard to get, and they usually will run deals later on in the week. So that's a little tip for you too. So we've booked our cruise. We've done our budget. We have booked our, sorry, I just got really cozy, so I hope that's okay. I'm getting sleepy too, whispering. We've booked our cruise, we've done our budget, we've booked our excursions, we've booked all of our specialty things. Now, it's Embarkation Day. Woo! Embarkation Day. Embarkation. Embarkation Day. So Embarkation Day is the day you embark on your journey on the ship. So this is the day that you will be getting onto your ship. So you're going to need to make sure that you have transportation to the port city, your departure port city. So if the departure port is close enough, you could drive. If you need to fly, make sure you obviously have your airline reservations and all of that. If you're flying, I certainly recommend flying in at least a day prior to sailing, because we all know how flights can be delayed. If you're driving, I also recommend coming in at least a day early. If you're driving or if you're renting a car after flying, you're going to need to find a place to park it. So most ports have a parking lot near them where you can park your car for a fee while you're gone. Or you could park it. Sometimes we'll find a hotel that allows you to park your car there if you stay there for a night or two before the cruise. So you do need to make arrangements for your vehicle if you were driving into port. Or have somebody take you to port. We've done that before too. Have somebody take you to the port once you have, So, if you are parking at a hotel and not near the port, you are also going to need to make sure you have made arrangements with an Uber, a taxi service, something to get from the port. Your hotel to the port, your car to the port. Typically, most port cities are going to have tons of taxi services that are specifically for even just going back and forth to the port to hotels, so you're good there. What do you need for getting on the ship? What do you need for getting on the ship? So you're going to need depending on where you're going to need your passport and or birth certificate. Actually, you shouldn't need both. If you don't have a passport, many cruise lines will accept just a birth certificate. Some of them require a passport. You need to make sure that you know the cruise line you're going on, that you know their rules for that, whether you need your passport or your birth certificate. If you need a passport and you don't have one, you want to make sure you book your cruise long enough in advance to go get your passport picture taken and get your passport ordered and paid for, right? And don't forget to add that into your budget. Honestly, most cruises we've taken haven't required a passport, but we try to always have ours, just in case, because it's kind of easier if we were to get left or something to have a passport, right, than just a birth certificate. I don't know, I just feel more secure with that. Now, you're gonna need your boarding documents. So your boarding pass, anything that it said you needed to print out when you booked, you're gonna have to have that. So I always have a picture of it on my phone as well as the printed document. Dependent on the line you're going on, they're gonna wanna see a solid, copy. So always try to have a paper copy and an electronic copy of your boarding docs. Obviously, you're going to need your luggage, so you can typically either check in your luggage or carry it onto the ship yourself. I would recommend checking your luggage and keeping a carry-on. So you're going to want it in your carry-on if you do decide to check your luggage. So much easier doing that than having to carry it around with you all over the ship. If you do decide to check your luggage in your carry-on, you're going to want to have all of the medications you may possibly need that day. I would recommend having like your swimsuit, anything you'll need to swim, sunscreen, your swimsuit, a cover-up if you want it, flip-flops, and maybe like an extra outfit. Yeah, and some cash. You don't really use the cash on board. Actually, you don't need cash in your carry-on. Never mind. I don't know why I said that. Anyways, so let's excuse me, I hope I didn't wake you up. Goodness. Let's talk about Embarkation Day. I'm just going to kind of walk you through what the process of Embarkation Day has looked like for us. So typically, we will park our car wherever we're parking it. We have a car service come and pick us up, take us to the port, and then we find where we need to drop off our luggage to have it checked. Keep our carry-ons with us, and typically you'll have a specific boarding time. Each person, each cabin has a different boarding time. There are windows of boarding times, and usually you get to choose it when you book. And then you go through the line. It's usually a pretty long line, but it's usually fairly quick moving. Like, you're not gonna, if you get there at your time, you're not gonna spend more than 20 or 30 minutes in line on a regular day. That's not like something going wrong. You're gonna go through, you're gonna show them your documents, and you're gonna walk up and you get on the ship. And it's so exciting when you get on the ship. Like, they're all so happy to see you and to start your week. Now, you're going to want to go do your muster drill. Not mustard, but muster. You go do your muster drill, which is just safety information. It's a safety briefing that tells you what to do in the unlikely event of an emergency. And then, usually your cabins are not quite ready yet because they're still cleaning them from the last group of cruisers that left, right? So your room is typically not quite ready yet, unless you're cruising like in a suite or you're like a higher up guest, which we are not. So then you can, like, after you've done your muster drill, you can go have lunch, go swim, do whatever you want. For us, we do that, and then we go check to see if our room is ready. And then once your room is ready, you can go in and hang out in there. It's yours for the week. And then your luggage usually will arrive to you that night, depending on the cruise line, like 5 or 6. And that's Embarkation Day. And then on Embarkation Day, you can go eat, this video doesn't have audio, I might cry because we're at over an hour now. Yeah, there's usually a sail away party, and then that evening after dinner, there is also usually like a sail away show. So that is kind of embarkation day. Let's talk about packing really quickly. I kind of went a little out of order in that. I know for a lot of us, packing is important. I'm going to go through this very quickly. If you have any specific questions about packing, just leave them in the comments down below. I may make a second, shorter video just answering your crew's questions. Okay, so here's my disclaimer. I am a heavy packer. I prefer to be overpacked, overprepared than underpacked and underprepared. So you're obviously going to want to have your clothing. So your clothing on the cruise is going to be, you're going to want like your comfy clothes, obviously, for the daytime, or if you're somebody who likes to dress really cute for cruises, that. So I would recommend packing like one casual outfit per day, plus 1 or 2 extras. They do have laundry rooms on board. I don't think I've ever seen the inside of one because I'm not doing my laundry on vacation. I'll wait till I get home. And it does cost. So anyways, yeah, clothes are every day. You're gonna want your swimsuits if you're a swimmer. Your swimsuits, sunscreen, all the things you would need to swim, cover-ups, flip-flops. You're gonna need, or if you plan to eat in the dining room, the main dining room, most of them have a dress code. Now, Carnival's dress code is a little more lax in the dining room, where like Princess was a little more formal. So, the rules, they don't necessarily always follow them at Carnival, but the rules state, like, it's basically, I would say, like, business casual, but even a little more casual than business casual. Like, jeans are okay, graphic tees are not, like, t-shirts are not okay. Like, my husband wore, and my son would wear, like, khaki pants. Or my son, I let him wear khaki shorts. It's hot, and he's 3. But like khaki pants with a polo on the regular nights, right? I wore just dresses, just summer dresses. They don't like flip-flops in the dining room. So anyway, you're going to want to bring extra clothes for dinners. However many dinners you plan to attend in the main dining room. And then also, I don't know about other cruise lines, but on Carnival, they have like themed nights. Different ships have different themed nights. So, you may want to, usually you can find a Facebook group that will tell you the information about your particular sailing, and they'll tell you like what the theme nights are. So if you want to do those, you might want to pack those clothes. For example, like an 80s night party, that kind of thing. We don't ever really participate in those, so we don't bring stuff for them. Something important that I always forget until the last minute, like right before we're getting on the ship, is bring cash for tips. Now, like I said, you're not going to be spending cash on board because, well, I should have told you this earlier. At the beginning of the cruise, you get a room key. Your room key is a card. It gets you into your room. And then also, that is how you pay for everything. You just give them your room key. If you're paying for anything, that's how you pay. However, when you're in port, you have to tip you don't have to, but they request tips like everywhere you go. So having like ones for that is nice. And then we'll usually bring like a few bigger bills for like to give to our room steward on the last day as an extra tip specifically for the room steward. If we do the main dining room a lot, like we'll bring cash specifically for that waiter kind of thing. You do not have to do that because you can prepay gratuities online. That's just something nice we do, especially for the room stewards. They work so hard. So, cash for tips, something that's important to me. It may not be to you, and that's okay, but that was important for me, especially with our son, was to have um, like a waterproof phone cover. So, like the kind you can stick your phone down in and close, and you can swim with them and stuff. I had one of those, so that way I could take pictures of him when we were in the pools and stuff, like to send to our families when we got home. And just so that we have them forever. And then, oh, this is fun. If you have kids, magnetic toys like magnetiles. We brought our magnetiles and they were huge. I think that's the most he's ever played with them. The walls on a ship are magnetic, obviously. And so we just stuck magnetiles on it at the beginning of the week. I bought some other magnetic toys, yeah, and then also magnetic hooks are useful to hang your things on, just some magnetic hooks, like to hang towels on and things. And then, hand soap. So, again, a lot of this is just like my personal preference, so this stuff may not be important to you, but it was to me. On the ship, they typically just give you hand soap, like bar soap. So I always try to bring 1 or 2 bottles of liquid hand soap, just because I feel like I get cleaner. I don't love washing my hands with bar soap. I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't actually wash my hands. It's probably a weird thing. You're going to want to bring your toiletries. They do provide shampoo and soap. I don't think they have conditioner. And obviously it's going to be like the really cheapy stuff. I use cheapy stuff like Suave or whatever, but this is like the anyways. So I bring my own shampoo, conditioner, and soap. Your children's soap, those kinds of things. Obviously, I like your deodorant, your toothbrush, all that. I'm not going to go through the list. Your toiletries. Something I wish I had had. This is like way TMI, but something I wish I had brought in our last cruise is our own toilet paper. That toilet paper, man, it is like very, very thin, and I am not a picky toilet paper girl. Like, I don't buy Charmin. I buy like the off-brand stuff, but this is like off-brand, man. It hurt. So I wish I had brought my own toilet paper. This had never been a big deal to us until cruising with our son. We had never brought food products onto a cruise ship with us. But if you are a picky eater, or your child is a picky eater, we just made sure to bring snacks that we knew he would like. But he actually ate more than we thought he would on the cruise, which was awesome. So yeah, just snacks, and then if they have any specialty drinks that they like to drink, so like our son drinks a lot of Pediasure, so we had made sure to bring his Pediasure. We had to have a doctor's note because he has a prescription for it, so we had to have a doctor's note to like prove that, to bring that amount on there. Yeah, so snacks and drinks. Something that really helped us a lot this last time having was a netted dirty clothes hamper. We just hung it up outside the bathroom door, and it kept our room somewhat tidy and all of our dirties together, our dirty clothes. So that way at the end of the week, we just shoved the dirty clothes bag into one of the suitcases, and it worked out well. Some people like to have a lanyard for their key card, because again, you're going to want your key card everywhere you go on board. And it's some people put it on a lanyard so they don't have to carry around like a bag or anything. That's what I've done in the past until having a kid and I needed to carry around diapers, so I brought like a belt bag. It's a fanny bag, but they call them belt bags now. A hand sanitizer is a good thing to keep, especially when you're like in port and not near a bathroom to wash your hands. Hand sanitizer. Something else to note wish we had brought like a trash bag or something, because the trash bins, so our son is in diapers and the cabins are fairly small, and there are only 2 trash bins and they're pretty tiny. There's one in the bathroom and one in the room, and they're very, very small. So like whenever he would do a number 2 in his diaper, our room would stink. So I wish I had brought something to be a solution for that. Yeah. Okay. We're at an hour and 18 minutes. Let's try to end this before an hour and a half. Before an hour and a half, yeah. Okay. So, on board. Once you're on board the ship, some of your dining options, we've talked a little bit about this, so I won't go into much detail, but there's the buffet, there is the dining room, like the main dining room. There are casual places, like they'll usually have a pizza place, a burger place, taco place, that are free. Typically, pizza places on the ships are 24 hours. And then, I'm so sorry about that. I have my phone on silent, so I don't know why that dinged. And then there are also the specialty restaurants, there are coffee shops, there's room service. So if you have any specific questions about any of those, again, just leave them in the comments. I'll do a second video at some point answering y'all's questions if you have any, if anybody has made it to this point of the video. And then our entertainment options. So the entertainment on board, there are so many options. Again, my experiences are mostly with Carnival, ones with Princess, but let's talk about the few entertainment options I wrote down. There is typically a show every night, so the shows are usually like singing and dancing. This last cruise we went on had really good shows, and one of the shows was incredible, like amazing. They have casinos, arcades, IMAX theaters, splash pads, pools, comedy clubs, karaoke, trivia, water slides, roller coasters, sky riders. Those are just a few that I could think of, the entertainment options. And typically you will get on Carnival, there's an app, the Carnival Hub app that you can get, and it'll tell you the activities each day, like what time they are, what they are, where they are, a description of them. And then you typically will also get a paper copy of that to know what's going on that day. So there's something at all hours of the day and night usually. It's usually pretty packed. And what I love about Carnival is there's something for everybody. There are art auctions. There are like the parties. There are the shows, like the Broadway style shows. There are the casinos. It feels like there's something for everything. There's stuff for children. So, I just wrote down kind of a sample cruise itinerary. So it might be like, okay, if you're going on a 7-day cruise, it might look something like this. Embarkation day, sea day, port 1, port 2, port 3, sea day, debarkation. And then debarkation is fairly easy. It's pretty much the embarkation process in like reverse. The biggest thing for debarkation, I think, is just to make for sure that you have arrangements for somebody to pick you up at the port to take you to your vehicle if it's not there at the port. And again, even if you forget that, like in this day and age, it's not that hard to get an Uber or something, I guess. But for me, I just like to know that I have somebody to do that. So what debarkation day looks like, and it's always so sad because like I don't want vacation to end. Typically they will go in groups, so it'll be like you're like really high up premium loyalty members your people there in suites, and then they'll go by like decks or types of room or something, and you just kind of get off the ship. And this last time we chose to carry off our own luggage rather than checking it, and that made debarkation go much quicker. It was a pain, but it made it go much quicker. You can check it the night before, but we also liked not being on a time schedule of having to have it like packed by 5 o'clock the night before, you know. So, anyways, that's my hour and a half nearly rundown of planning a cruise, being on the cruise, what a cruise is, all those things. So, if you're still here, like I said, if you're still here and you have questions, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to walk you through, any other questions you have. If I do get enough questions, I will do another video regarding this and try to make it a lot shorter. But hopefully this is helpful to somebody out there. Hopefully there's somebody else like me who loves whispers and loves cruising. I'm sure there is somebody, right? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully you're sleeping